Call me old man Wade.
Damn you, old man!
Wait.
Old ass man.
Shut up, old man. You smell like fart.
No! Man!
Old man.
He's so old, he got a podcast on cassette.
Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade.
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I am your host, Old Man Wade. Back in front of me is my co-host, Supa Javi.
What's going on, old man? It's been a while.
Been a while, about a week.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Finals. I'm dying over here, man.
sitting in front of a room looking at a computer for like hours on end.
I'm too old for this.
I'm too old for this shit.
Get your educations, people. You need it.
Yo, Greg said some was on actually Greg, just Greg was on Instagram. He posted a picture which I thought was dope, and he was talking about never being too old to do things.
Yeah.
And it was like getting your degree after 30 is dope.
Mm-hmm.
Getting married after 40 is amazing. Buying a house after 40 is an accomplishment. Like, don't let people put timetables on your accomplishments.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. And you know what I mean? Like you're like me, you're 1,000 years old. You know what I mean? You're still going in there.
I'm like 980.
I don't want to put the other 20 years on you. My bad, dog.
All right.
But no, it makes sense that people shouldn't put a timetable on it, man. Because who knows? 2 years from now, you could be running the world.
Well, I mean, our current president became president at 70 plus. So things could happen at an old age that.
Senior small hands.
Oh my god. We're gonna tie in these insults in every show, I guess. So be prepared.
Yeah, I figure I'm just gonna. Hey, if you does something good,
Yeah.
I'll compliment the man for doing something good.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm gonna continuously make fun of senior small hands.
All right. Well, before we get too sidetracked in our talking, we actually have a show organized for the people.
Yeah, we're gonna try something new. We're gonna try this new thing called segments.
We're gonna fail miserably.
No, I think we can keep it on pace. We did good with the No Trick Zone.
Yeah.
Well, so shout out to all you guys for listening to those. They were really great episodes. Mm-hmm. And I think we finally figured out we're still putting in ingredients to the recipe that is the Old Man Wade dinner and feast for you guys. But no.
Oh man, hold up! You just reminded me with the last pod we did. Congratulations on the shout out.
Oh yeah, Tiffany had a shot.
Yeah.
I think it was a retweet or a like, but whatever it was, man, it got me an extra 15 listeners. It was dope, bro.
Old man's been beaming all week.
Yeah, I'm glowing like a pregnant woman over here.
It's just grease.
Hey, grease, I ain't got no hair. Okay, it's cocoa butter, but nah. So we've had it's been a week. Thursday. We're recording this on a Saturday. Disney and Marvel announced their acquisition of Fox television shows and movies.
21st Century Fox, to be exact, which is the movie and entertainment division of News Corp or Fox or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They also own Fox News, Fox's various broadcasting arms.
Really?
It's a big company. It's a giant.
Oh, Disney didn't acquire that.
No, Disney didn't acquire that, but they spent $52 billion for just one part of a pretty big corporation, which tells you the scale of these types of deals, which is kind of ridiculous. My nerd side is giddy, right?
Yeah.
Avengers versus X-Men.
Which will eventually happen. You did see Wolverine fight the Hulk.
Oh my god. Fantastic Four might. Maybe.
There's a German company that owns the rights to that, so we'll see what happens. But like you said earlier before we started recording, $52 billion isn't nothing to shy at. Everybody's going to want a piece of that.
Yeah, so, you'll see the dominoes start to fall, and I think that, pretty soon there's going to be, Disney's going to own everything.
Yeah.
They're going to own everything.
Yeah, on the American flag will just be 50 Mickey Mouse heads.
Pretty much. Disney branded condoms.
Don't be goofy. Use a condom.
Terrific.
You don't want Huey, Dewey, and Louie running around.
So how do you feel about this deal? Are you excited?
Well, again, my dork side about me is ecstatic. You know what I mean? I remember Hugh Jackman stated that after Logan he was done. but he's also made statements saying that if Fox ended up giving up the rights back to Marvel, he would do another movie just so he could fight the Hulk.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see like some of my favorite mutants actually in a good movie. You know what I mean? It's been a while since we've had consistently good movies, because we had X-Men First Class was really good.
I wouldn't say really.
Compared to what we were compared to X3, it was good. Days of Future Past, I think I will honestly say was really good, because it wasn't the focus of Wolverine, wasn't like the predominant force in that. They focused more on everything else. Wolverine was a main character.
That seemed like a more of an MCU X-Men movie than anything. Like it seemed like something that we will probably be seeing more of in the future. And
then they came out, then X-Men Apocalypse, which I enjoyed, but it wasn't really that good. It's always like rules of three. The third one is always bad. Yeah. X3,
in particular, X-Men movies.
Oh my god! No, let's not talk about Spider-Man 3. So it's like rules of three. So now it's like, okay, well, except for Logan, they finally got Wolverine right. Yeah. But I'm happy that we're finally getting these characters all together now. And on top of that, I think Marvel realized that killing off mutants and trying to replace them with the Inhumans was a bad idea.
So here goes my biggest question about this when it comes to like the movies. How are they going to fit mutants into the MCU when they twisted themselves around thoroughly trying to avoid mutants? So you had Inhumans, you had all this stuff, and like you said, in the comic books, they essentially like killed off like majority of mutants.
Oh, 2 words: alternate reality.
So, okay,
so that's all you gotta do.
Right. But it's movies. I mean, you think people? I don't know.
You know what's funny? I don't even think people care enough.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. When Xavier came back in Days of the Future Past, no one even questioned it. They were like, "Oh, Xavier's back." Mm-hmm. Okay. They didn't even explain it. They're like, "Oh, he's back." Oh, okay. And they just kind of went with it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what is it? No one cares how the sausage is made.
True. I guess it's my nerd side. Like, I'm gonna be the one in the theater. It's like, that is not accurate.
I don't think they could easily just go with alternate realities. Someone, with the Infinity Gems, anything is possible.
Exactly, but I'm thinking they'll have to rewrite the second Infinity Wars movie.
Apparently, there was a thing saying they're not going to alter anything until after Infinity Wars.
Really?
So my thinking is at the end of Infinity Wars, we're going to get a cutscene where maybe like Wolverine, Storm, and Deadpool will come out, and it'll be like Wolverine will go, "What the hell?" Deadpool will say something smart like this. A buddy of mine said it would be funny if he stepped out and was just like, "Ooh, it smells like a mouse in here." You know what I mean?
So I've been hearing some, and I've been reading, I say, some news clippings about this, and apparently Disney's thinking about having like an R-rated section of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So a studio dedicated to like rated R Marvel movies, which could be good or bad depending on how they take it, right?
Yeah.
They can forever separate people like Deadpool from the general Marvel universe, right? And they'll have their own thing, but you'll never see like Deadpool versus Wolverine or whatever.
Well, I think that they would have a subsection of which would be fine, because I think Deadpool works in a PG fashion when it comes to him being on a team.
Yeah. Because
you could give him lasers, you can give him laser guns, you can give him plasma things that like aren't bullets. They're not causing bloodshed or things like that. He can use his sword against robots and aliens because they're not human, so it's not really that graphic. But Deadpool solo cannot be PG-13. He needs to be able to have the free range to just be him.
Yeah.
He needs to be. It's not even necessarily just like the cursing and the killing. It's just the freedom to make these jokes that make him this like popular. He's not Shrek. Like Shrek can make these innuendos that we don't get. Disney can make these innuendos that we'll get, that little kids won't get. Yeah. You can't do that with Deadpool. Like, you know what I mean? He was in a cartoon with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man goes, "Did you booby trap him?" And he goes, "Ha ha, you said trap." But every adult was like, "Oh, I see what you did there." I don't think you can't do that with Deadpool in a
pretty dirty joke.
Yeah, you can't do that with Deadpool in a solo fashion. But you can do it. But you can do it on a team.
Yeah.
Or when let's say he's about to make a joke and Cap just goes, "Language," like, you know what I mean, or like
language, young man.
Yeah, or just like someone punches them or something like that before it happens.
Very good fourth wall breaking opportunities. And
Yes.
I just finished reading Thanos versus Deadpool for like the fourth time.
Isn't that? I haven't actually read it yet. It's
I like it.
you know.
I would love
Do you
to
know
see
their history?
Well, it tells you the history, so I
About
don't
how
want to
we hate-
spoil anything. But
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it
Yeah.
after that. But so I think there's a lot of opportunities that go on with that.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Wolverine could finally have an origin movie where Wolverine was in World War II, where they actually met for the first time. We can get, which I've been waiting for, is a Netflix series with Wolverine where we see his past. Because one of the reasons I think the Wolverine movies were never that good is because there's so much that really goes on to it. Like that 2-hour The Wolverine movie was garbage.
Well, okay. let me not to get too. Let me rewind a little bit. Something you just said. So, seeing a Wolverine movie on Netflix is probably not going to happen.
Oh no, not movie, not movie.
Or
like the actual show.
Yeah, or a show. You won't see like you probably won't see another Marvel show on Netflix for a while.
We can get into we can get into that, but just something in a streaming aspect of look at how gritty Jessica Jones is.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like Wolverine doesn't need. He curses.
Yeah,
but he's not she's not dropping the F-bomb or the C-bomb or things like that. He's just he just has the freedom, and even if he's cutting people up, you know what I mean. There are ways around doing that without blood going all over the place.
Or just do it with blood. Logan did
in The Punisher, for example. So there are ways to do that. Like maybe you keep these R-rated characters and you put them on their streaming service, and you find a way to just go. What is it? I think it was Hulu now. Is Disney owns a good part of Hulu now.
So yeah, I think part of the deal, because Disney already owned a certain percentage of Hulu, and I think Fox was involved with Hulu in some way. So them buying Fox or that division of Fox gave them their percentage of Hulu.
Yeah.
So I think they own a good portion of Hulu. So I think you'll be seeing a lot of Marvel's, and nobody's saying this. This is just me speculating, right? All those Marvel shows will be going to Hulu.
That would be the way. That would be the smart way. The smart thing for them to do would be to do that. Like you see, I think the Runaways, I think, was their experiment. Yeah. I think they were experimenting to see what the numbers would look like with a lesser known group of Marvel characters, and then put it on Hulu. Let's see how it does.
And Hulu has really good production. Like they did
Handmaid's
Tale pretty good. Future Man was awesome. I don't know if you watched that.
There was one British show that I saw a while ago, and there was these British teenagers develop powers, but all of them were kind of screwed up.
Misfits.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple episodes of that. And I'm like, oh, this was dope. This was in their early incarnations of them trying to put shows out.
Well, I think Misfits was BBC.
Was it BBC?
Yeah,
and then they put it on Hulu?
They were streaming it on Hulu. But,
okay.
But Hulu has good shows like Misfits, so it works out.
Yeah, so that's basically, so there are some, so it's more of the happiness of it is just the general person who just looks at everything at the surface. So now all these things that we are gaining now. We're gaining these characters that we love so much that are finally together. We're gaining the fact that we know that Marvel isn't going to kill off all the X-Men now because they're petty beef with 20th Century Fox.
Reverse Terrigen bomb, I'm telling you. It's going to happen.
Oh, you were the one who said reverse Terrigen? Oh, God, don't get me started on that. So, now we have all these characters.
That was just my ridiculous... So, can we do a geek translation for Terrigen
Absolutely.
Bomb? So, essentially, Fox was not playing nice with X-Men as far as the movies go.
Absolutely right.
So what Marvel decided to do in the comic books was to kill off all the mutants, or a good majority of them, remove their powers.
But the problem with that is they wanted to replace them with this group of people called the Inhumans.
Pretty much they're mutants, but they're not. Yeah, it's weird.
But the problem is the Inhumans aren't that interesting when they spent the last 40 years getting the shit kicked out of them by everybody. Mm-hmm. You have this great character called Black Bolt. This powerful character called Black Bolt. But he's constantly getting his ass kicked, so it's kind of how are you gonna make this character so popular and powerful when he's been getting his ass kicked for so long?
He's the benchmark. He's the character that powerful characters beat up to show how powerful they are.
Yeah,
that's essentially what he is.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I don't know. I can't imagine how they're gonna make this work, but I'm excited to see it happen.
I think it can work. When money's involved, things can work. With movies involved, things can make work.
As long as they don't mess with Black Panther. I don't care.
And speaking of which, I think I was talking to someone about the Marvel movies, and they were saying they were tired of these goofy movies. I said, well, the good news is
Goofy
like Thor Ragnarok was goofier than the last two Thor movies, but the last two Thor movies weren't really that good.
I mean,
they were the weakest out of the Marvel like catalog.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy was entertaining, but it was predictable. It was still good, but it was very predictable. So you get these movies that are like goofy and funny and fun. And I was like, well, you have to remember, the next two movies coming out aren't going to be that.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange had a good balance between seriousness, sci-fi, and like silly. So there was a balance there. Black Panther is a serious movie. It's going to be a serious character. Yes, there are going to be jokes because they know.
But you gotta lighten up. Jeez.
Yeah,
these are people fighting crime in costumes.
Yeah, there's nothing. What was it I always said? It's like when someone said, "Oh, there are going to be no jokes in the Batman." I'm like, how are you going to not have jokes with a guy who runs around dressed as a bat?
Yeah, like I mean, suspension of disbelief or whatever. But but come on, just relax, people. Like,
yeah. And so then, like because to everything there's a balance. Yeah. For every Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy, you're gonna have Captain America and you're gonna have Black Panther. Like I still think Winter Soldier was the best thing Marvel's put out so far. But like that's I think of all the movies, I think I've seen Winter Soldier more than I've seen any of them.
That's very interesting.
So, but I say that to say this is like to everything there is a season. Yeah. Like if they want something to happen, it'll happen. You know what I mean? So I don't think that. But to get back on the point is we talked about the good. Let's feed the negativity machine.
Okay. And what do you want to do?
Break it down. Break down the negative part aspects of this deal.
So, my ethical compass has been going for a loop since this deal because I'm excited. Like I want it to happen. Like I want to see all my favorite characters fight and do whatever. But what we are seeing right now is a very powerful organization being created that controls things that you care about, right? They have full control over, over 60% of entertainment right now. From Marvel to Avatar to Aliens, all these franchises. And not just that, on the other side, they just gave News Corp and the Murdochs $52 billion to do whatever they want with, which some people, a good portion of people might like that, but for me, I think that cable news has been an issue with creating dialogue that's not very helpful to a democracy, right? So we just gave them a $52 billion injection to kind of make that even a worse situation. So,
well, someone brought up a point, which I thought was kind of funny. Not funny, haha, but kind of funny, like, oh, shit. Where they go now, Fox has $52 billion of hush money. Yeah,
that's... I'm assuming that 50% of that's going to go to sexual harassment.
Are you being generous by saying 50%? Because I'm leaning towards more 75%.
75%?
I mean, how long was... They're
going to need a good 40... They were giving for... what's his name?
That's what I was going to bring up, the guy on Fox News.
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
They were settling these harassment suits for $30 million, on the low. That's some
yearly.
These
were either yearly or semi-yearly accusations for him that they were just getting swept under the rug. Like, here's $1 million, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And not just that. So there's been an interesting thing happening recently with local broadcast television. So a lot of people still get their news from local television, right?
Yeah.
You think that you essentially assume that it's non-biased. It's just giving you information about what's happening locally around you, right? Yeah. So there's an organization called Sinclair. They're a super conservative group that they've been buying local broadcast stations, and so they're keeping the local news teams, right? But what they're doing, they're cutting in national political ads and things that support a specific political agenda in local news, right?
Yeah.
And they're actually Fox News' biggest competitor in this field. So what we're doing essentially is giving Fox some money where they're able to hope, I'm thinking that they're going to want to compete with Sinclair, buying up some of these local stations, and then you start to see the same thing that happened with cable news, creating more polarization in the electorate, like making the discussion even more nasty, right? Going into the local sphere, which to me is kind of scary. So I feel like I'm putting a big downer on this whole thing that we're excited about. But
look, you gotta every bit of medicine needs a spoonful of sugar. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, sometimes people need the harsh reality of what things mean, because no deal is great. Like I was talking to my wife about net neutrality, and I actually asked somebody who's in the tech business what it actually means, and when he broke it down to me, it's not necessarily these companies that are essentially dinosaurs. Yeah. And it's like now, like let's say Comcast, for example. And again, if I say anything that's not factual, obviously let me know. But like a lot of these companies didn't see Sears coming. They didn't see Sears coming in and selling hardware, clothing, jewelry, and all this other stuff. Sears put a bunch of companies out of business. Now, fast forward 100 some odd years later, however long Sears has been open, these cable companies are essentially the same thing. They're dinosaurs that can see the comet coming, but there's nothing they can do. So Comcast isn't like Netflix, who has put out original content. Yeah. Netflix will always be around because they will be able to buy out older television shows and older movies to put on their site to stream. Yeah. They also are now putting out original content. Will Smith is it a movie or a show he's putting out?
A show on Netflix.
A show on Netflix.
Right.
Will Smith.
Seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, one of the greatest actors of all time is on Netflix. Yeah. So that should say something. And then when a lot of companies see that, they're like, okay, well maybe it's time for me to get out of just cable and offer my own online streaming. Yeah. So now you got the HBOs, the Stars. Comedy Central, I believe, was one of the first ones I remember breaking off and going, hey, here's our streaming network, Comedy Central. If you want to watch all the stuff on Chappelle's show you can't get on YouTube anymore. Yeah. Here's the app.
A lot of those videos are locked now too, which sucked. I realized. Yeah. Even though I have Comcast, like a lot of those shows I can't get without paying like an additional.
Exactly. So a lot of these companies now are like, okay, well here's $10 a month. You can get Comedy Central, you can get Stars, you can get HBO. Yeah. Well, now, all these companies, and like look at the NBA. The NBA was smart enough to go, hey, you can stream all this stuff on your computer. Yeah. ESPN, hey, you can watch all these games on a computer. Comcast is kind of like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? One of the reasons cable numbers are down. Yeah. So now with this net neutrality thing, now they can go, oh, if you want to watch this stuff online, you're going to have to pay us more now. So it's greedy for us because we're like, what the fuck? I'm already paying $100 some odd for cable. Yeah. But if you're the CEO of a company and you see the asteroid coming, you're like, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go out of business? Or
well, so just like you, like I've actually been talking a lot about net neutrality this week. Like a lot of people, they've been actually coming to me asking questions. I'm not an expert at all, but I know a little bit of what's happening. And I think that when we talk about net neutrality, I think the first thing is to understand what it is. And I think you're right. It takes away, I should say, the rules that kept internet service providers from charging for tiered services, right? So, they call it internet neutrality because all internet was supposed to be treated neutrally, right? Yeah. No matter Netflix bits aren't more expensive than
Google.
WorldStar Hip Hop. Right?
For the record, I feel that WorldStar is essentially the same shit as Singer Small Hands. I just want to throw that out there.
Yo, it's an institution, okay?
Yeah.
WorldStar. You would never get that without that. But I think that it's yet to be seen whether or not this is going to be necessarily, like, definitely a negative thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm against removing net neutrality rules, right? But I also envision a scenario where, like, Verizon, no, it would be Comcast, because they're the worst, right? Mm-hmm. So Comcast, they would go like, okay, if you want Netflix, right, if you want Netflix to stream really well, you're going to have to pay us, $100 more. This is all hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the scenarios people are afraid of, right? You're gonna have to pay us $100 extra. So Comcast can do that, but at the same time, even though there's not a lot of competition, there is some competition.
Well,
and Verizon can go like, okay, we'll give you Netflix for the same price for any, like Netflix won't be tiered on our service. Come to us. I say this because it's happened. Because cell phones were never really under the net neutrality. They weren't under net neutrality rules, right? So for a long time, companies were getting rid of unlimited data, right? But then Sprint was like, we suck, but let's have a gimmick. Let's give everybody
unlimited everything.
Yeah, unlimited everything. And they started, even though they sucked, people started going to them because people needed or thought they needed.
I've had it for years because I actually don't use my phone during the day because I'm at work.
Exactly.
And since I'm doing most of my thing is texting and using it online, it fits out. It works great for me. Their service is garbage, but it fits what I need.
Yeah. Now, however, everybody else has their own unlimited plans or versions of unlimited, whatever, right? To keep up or to keep people from leaving them to go to Sprint. So I think for the people that are supporting net neutrality, that's their argument. They feel that market forces are going to keep companies from playing unfair with net neutrality.
Yeah.
We know better, right? We know that companies could give a shit about us. It's all about money. So
they don't really care about us.
So anything they do is gonna be a dollar incentive at this point. With net neutrality in place, it meant that it wasn't just about the dollar incentive. It was like government saying you gotta treat people fairly. And so, I mean, I guess that could tie back to some of the negative aspects of this Disney Fox deal, and the fact that it's just creating less but larger companies that have to deal with that don't really need to deal with competition. So those market forces don't even matter at this point.
Yeah, shout out to my homie Cal. One of the tenants in my building, we were talking about. He was breaking down net neutralities for me in like the basic of explanations, and he brought up a really good point about how you brought up Comcast as like this, I guess, juggernaut or giant, for the lack of a better term, Comcast, Xfinity, whatever you have, in how Comcast will pay a town to only exclusively allow people cable from them. So from like RCN or like you said, Verizon wouldn't, or dish networks or certain networks won't be allowed because in the town of Saskatchewan, blah blah blah, you're only allowed Comcast. And since they have the money to be like, oh no, we'll give you an extra $1 million to keep them away. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the same thing goes for Disney. Like, you know what I mean? Like Disney, Marvel and Disney had the balls. Excuse me. DC Comics tried to have the balls to put out Batman vs Superman the same day as Captain America's Civil War, and Marvel was like, "No, we're not budging." and DC and Warner Bros. was like, "No, well, we had this like that. Well, we had it first, so best of luck to you."
Well, they knew who would win in that.
Yeah, and then Warner Brothers came out and they pushed it further. Now they have the money, and then in their pettiness, just recently, Punisher comes out the same week, the same weekend as Justice League.
Yeah.
Now I'm not gonna say it was a coincidence of those low numbers.
Marvel should buy DC.
No, they should. No, they should not.
But you understand, right?
No.
You understand that now that Disney owns Marvel, they have enough money to buy all their competitors.
Odin's Eye, please, no. DC, a buddy of mine, Jay Posey, he big comic book guy. Like he knows like the inner workings of comic books. Yeah. And he said something that made so much sense. One of the higher ups of DC plainly said, "We're not a movie company.
They're definitely not.
We are a publishing company. They publish comic books.
Yes.
They have some of the greatest, not even comic book characters. They have some of the greatest characters ever conceived. Yeah. No matter how many bad DC movies come out, and I don't think Justice League was bad. I don't think Batman vs Superman was bad. But no matter how many bad movies people say they're going to put out, people are still going to go out to go see Batman.
It's Superman. You're going to go see Superman punch Batman. That's what you're going to do.
You're going to go see it. And when Aquaman comes out, Aquaman's going to do amazing numbers because it's fucking Aquaman. Like, because it's a DC comic book movie. And the problem now is, let's say Justice League has, like, the best trailer ever. Like, let's say it's so good it makes people's like ears bleed and like their eyes explode out of their heads, and like the trailer's so good it cures cancer.
Yeah.
Marvel is so petty that they would put something out that day just to be assholes, knowing that they'll win that.
And it'll probably be like a Star Wars, like Disney will come out with like a Star Wars movie, like something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, and like it'll be like the day it comes out, it's like, oh, this trailer will be streaming, and it'll be like Darth Vader come out, and then Iron Man will come walking out, and they'll be like, what the fuck?
But see, this is why competition is important. Like, and even in movies, like Marvel comes out with really good movies, right? Because not just because they have to, but they know as soon as they come out with a horrible movie or two consistent horrible movies, DC will start eating up some of their market share. So yeah, competition's a good thing in business, man.
It is, man. It's almost like, let's take the WWE, for example.
Yeah.
There is no competition for them. There was no competition with them for years. Mm-hmm. And now that a lot of people are looking at independent wrestling now, a lot of people are watching Ring of Honor and going to independent shows, there's a market for these guys now. And a lot of these independent guys, a lot of guys in the WWE, they're like, wait, I can make the same amount of money I'm making here on the independent circuit, or I can make something close enough that I can live the lifestyle I want to live. Then why am I here doing 3 shows a week where I can do 1 show a week somewhere else? Mm-hmm. Competition is a good thing. Even people who don't like wrestling now remember the Monday Night Wars. Yep. They remember when you go
WCW, WWF.
Yeah. Like no one wants to see the Golden State Warriors versus my high school basketball team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? No one wants to see me debate Charlemagne. Like, you know what I mean?
I watch that.
I don't want to see that. I don't need to be beat down in the fetal corner, in the fetal position, rocking back and forth in the corner. I'd watch you and him debate, but I'm good. But I
appreciate the competition.
but that's what it is. But you're right. People want competition, and if there is no competition, things get stale, things get stagnant, people get comfortable.
Yeah. So
if there is no competition, then why would I improve if I don't need to? Why am I going to shoot 50% from the field when 45 has done well my whole time, my whole career?
Well, we gotta stay conscious to this stuff, and it's sad because, like, again, like I'm man enough to admit that my inner child is excited about this deal, but it's been an interesting year, and we need to be aware when things happen that may affect our ability to live a happy life.
Yeah. Our end of the year show is going to be fire. So just want to give a shout out. Anything you so I want to promote something. I'm now writing for Bam Smack Pal. So if you want to get any comic book news, go to Bam Smack Pal, and then type in Mark Lynch. You'll find me on there. Recently did a couple of pieces on Marvel DC, why Wolverine is going to flourish. And I also did something else about the actual deal, and then like all these other characters who can make appearances with Marvel, like Mystique and Miss Marvel and Rogue's whole dynamic.
Ooh, that would be very interesting.
How Rogue, because I know most of the people here around our age, they remember when Rogue was super strong in the X-Men cartoon. Yeah. For those who don't know, she got her powers.
People associated her with strength.
Yeah. She stole those powers from Miss Marvel. Left Miss Marvel in a coma for years. Doctor Doom isn't just a Fantastic Four villain. Most recently, he went back in time and fought Iron Man.
Shout out to my boy Kevin for hoping for a Secret Wars movie.
God Doom?
Yo, that's going to be... I'm saying that's like it's going to happen. But yeah, Doom is
God Doom.
Doom is such a good character that's got no justice.
Luke Cage and Norman Osborn now. When Norman, I don't know if you ever know this, but Norman Osborn threatened Jessica Jones. He goes, "I'm going to kill you and your kid."
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah, and so we get all this stuff now. Something else from shout out to your cousin, Miss Hot Sauce.
Hot Sauce, yeah, definitely.
Great podcast, great, amazing, like promoter and host. Like I had never seen her live until then, and it blew my mind how good she is and how like all the energy, how she controls the crowd, how she maintains the personality of the guests.
Yeah, she's a beast. Like I am 100% grateful for the opportunity to be her married guy on her panel for Henny and Hot Wings live. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. It was. I don't know how she did that.
I mean, she
should have been on our list of boss women.
It goes without saying. She's like, when you talk about hot women, you bring up Selma Hayek. We talk about great personalities in Boston. She goes without saying. Like, she goes like with that. But it brings up a point we were talking. I wanted to discuss something that I wanted to discuss marriage. Like, everyone talks. Like, last week I had my cousin-in-law or my cousin, my wife's cousin. We were talking about being single, and she was discussing how difficult it is to be single in this day and age, or when you're around our age. Like, you know, with where do you meet people now? You have to find, like, usually people meet online now. But then, like, now it's online. Like, think of all the creepy people we have on Twitter, all the trolls and people who are ultra confident online, but then you see them in person. Like, you know what I mean? It's all these things go on because now it's different. It's difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people don't go to there is no point in going to a mall anymore. Malls are empty.
But what's the goal? Like, what is their end goal? Are they trying to get married? Because I feel like people have misconceptions of marriage.
That's the other thing. Like, a lot of people aren't. When I tell this all the time. When me and my wife first met, we both set some ground rules. She was like, "Do you want kids? No. Are you looking to get married one day?" And I was like, and I told her not necessarily, but if I met someone who wanted to, I would. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So she decided one day she wanted to get married. I agreed that marriage is something that, like, you know, would benefit the both of us. Yeah. I love my wife. I'm in love with my wife. I like my wife. So it was like, you know, the perfect storm of positivity. Yeah. You know what I mean? So marriage sometimes can be looked at as a scam, but I look at it sometimes as enlightenment. Enlightenment. Like, I remember the first time.
Your wife is going to really like this podcast.
She don't listen to this shit. She don't listen. But no, so when I tell people, like, my best friend Diddy, shout out to Diddy, the whole day we were drinking, talking shit, like me and my groomsmen, a rock star groomsman, and we were talking about just like rant something. And Diddy would come up to me and go, "You alright?" Like, "Yeah, I'm good." Because he got married 2 months before me. Yeah. And he was just, and he was telling me, like, you know, your heart starts pumping, and you're not scared, you're not worried, but, like, it's a different kind of feeling. And he kept asking me all day, so I'm waiting for my wife to come up, and her bridesmaids are coming, and then she walks around the corner, and I tense up, and Diddy leans into me, whispers in my ear, and goes, "Are you okay now?" Because he knew.
It's about that moment when you see them in the dress.
Yeah.
Like, somebody told me I was going to cry. Shout out to my boy Big D.
What up, though?
I think it was him. No, first he asked me if I wanted to smoke before. Like, this was like in the back. This was like at the wedding, right?
Yeah.
And I was super tempted, but then I was like, you know what? It's probably not a good idea. And so, first good decision, decide not to do that. But anyways, he told me that, you know, you're going to cry when you see her. And I didn't know, like, I'm not going to cry, I promise you, right? Yeah. What kind of punk do you think I am? And as soon as I see her, you know, something about that moment. Like, you know, either with family and friends, and this girl is, like, really choosing to connect her life with mine, which is amazing in its own part. Tears flow, man. Tears flow.
It's dopeness, man. And, you know, like, you bring up a good point about in front of everybody you care about. Yeah. Because this is really the first moment. I'm not gonna say the first moment for the rest of your life, but it's one of the biggest moments of your life, and all the people you care about are there to witness it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, there's graduating college, graduating high school, maybe your first really big job, like your first drink. There are certain moments that, you know, will stay with you forever, like the first time you lose your virginity, things of that nature. But as an adult, you don't really get a lot of those. You know what I mean? After, like, a certain age, like, a lot of stuff becomes almost like repetition. Yeah. But, like, for me, like, when I got married, it was, oh snap, like, you know what I mean? Like, this was like the first day and, like, the best, like, the first day of the rest of my life. Like, it's a cliche thing. And I remember the first moment that night when I realized that this was, like, the best decision I ever made. I was sitting down. I finally got to sit down because I was running around, And I didn't realize how much I drank until recently. Because every time I stopped, someone was like, "Oh, take a sip of this flask. Here's a shot of whiskey. Here's some of that." But you don't realize it.
Why do you guys get the groom so drunk?
But it was funny because I didn't realize it because I'm running around so much, my adrenaline's pumping that I didn't realize like all that stuff was just going through me. So I'm sitting down. I finally got a chance to sit down. I had a couple of beers in front of me, and everyone was like leaving. And my wife's on the dance floor, fist pumping with Hulk hands.
Oh my God. I think I remember that actually.
And I looked over at her and I smiled and I was like, "This was the best decision I ever made."
Yo, that is key. That you chose well, my good man.
Oh, funny story for you. You mean I know this? But you remember the surprise party that I wanted?
Yeah.
That ended up turning into a surprise party?
Yeah.
The reason I wanted Maria to throw me this surprise party was so she could invite all my friends so I could propose to her in front of everybody.
Fascinating.
But she's so good at what she does that she yelled at me one day about, "I'm not throwing you a fucking surprise party," and blah, 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 blah. So all that money I saved, I spent. I don't want to ring. I was like, "Oh, fuck this." I spent it all, not knowing that she did that to throw me off.
That's why I hate surprises. So surprises are the perfect opportunity to look like an asshole.
Well, see, that's
trying
what
to do something nice for you. Like,
Well, see, that's why I wanted. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I was like, oh. And then when she did it, I was like, oh, I can't be mad. Because again, like one of the best days of my life, man. Like it's having everybody around me, like just like that happy.
well, something you say, just when you guys started your relationship, like setting expectations. Like me and my wife, we got married pretty, I would say fairly young, especially compared to the ages that people are getting married
Because
today.
you guys are married 10 years in, right?
We're 7 years.
Oh, 7 years, 10
7
years.
years.
Okay,
But
yeah.
we're over 10 years together, and I'm 33 now. And,
Okay.
she's 2 years younger than me. So
Oh shit, I forget. You know, I forget that our relationships actually link up because me and Maria are in our going into our 3rd year of marriage, and we've been together for 10 years. So I forget that it actually links
it links up, but we got married at like different times.
Yeah.
But we ended because we got married. We grew up in the same church, right?
Yeah.
I'm not very churchy, right? But it felt right to get married in a church that we grew up in. So in order to do that, we had to get premarital counseling with the pastor that was going to marry us, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm down for whatever. I love this girl. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And the pastor that actually did it, he's actually a friend of ours and a friend of our families. Knew us pretty well, and gave us some really, really good tools. Like he knows that I'm not the most religious person.
Yeah.
So he really played to my logical side. And we were able to take a lot of those tools. So it didn't prevent us from doing stupid things.
Yeah.
But it taught us how to deal with those stupid things when they happen. And, not sabotage our relationship.
Which is something I think that people don't realize is that these stupid things are going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fact.
Especially on our end.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Prepare yourself, ladies.
Oh, yeah. I say it all the time. Women are crazy, men are stupid.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Like, I do stupid stuff every single day. Mm-hmm. I do. I'll be the first to admit it. I argue with my wife over things, even when I know she's right, because I'm stubborn. Yeah. I'm a stubborn asshole. And she could she could tell me outside, the sky is blue. Mm-hmm. And I'll go, no, it's gray. She goes, Mark, there's a fucking clouds. I don't care. Right now, the sky is gray. Like, you know what I mean? I know I'm wrong, but I'm gonna debate this. And again,
for what end goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
There is nothing to accomplish. That's what makes it so stupid. There is nothing to actually accomplish, and I know how dumb it is. But it's like I am a stubborn ass, but she puts up with me. Like, you know what I mean? So those are just the things we do. But like people forget that not even just marriage, relationships are hard.
Yeah, they're work, man. Like seriously,
But they wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't work, though. You know what I mean?
But I think but the thing is, I think talking to people. And again, I'm not in the advice game at all. If I'm giving advice, I'm probably inebriated, so don't take it. That's the only advice I give. Don't take my advice. But I guess what I observe seeing, talking to people that are looking to be in relationships, the biggest stumbling block is that yes, relationships are work, but I don't think a lot of people are willing to put in that work for another person, right? Like you get to a point, I think a lot of people get to a point if they don't develop a relationship with these people in a certain way, right? That they go like, why am I doing this for this person? You know, like, why am I stressing out for this stinky, you know, irritating human being? Like, get away from me. I'd rather be alone, you know? And then I think that's where it comes down to. And like for me, it seems everybody I know that's in long-term relationships, and again, this is just the people I know, and from my own personal experiences, like all these relationships started off as friendships, like really strong friendships that just transitioned into something.
It's funny, yeah. Like it's very rare that I actually got lucky. The Sisters of Fate were really in tune to making me and my wife meet. Yeah. All the things that we met at a club. I hate clubs. I owed my friend a wingman. Her car broke down. She was supposed to go to a completely different club. She was meeting a friend of mine. She was meeting a friend of her cousin's who was going to a completely different club than they were going to. My friend needed me to get him into that club. So everything just happened to work out the way it was supposed to. Yeah. So you can, whatever you want to believe in, but I believe that everyone, like Greg will say, that there are billions of people in this world. And mathematically, there is someone out there better for you. Just by math. Just by math alone, there's somebody out there better for you. I understand this point, and logically that makes sense, but I don't think love is logical. Like, you know what I mean? So I look at just the way things work with people and the way you were put in that position to do things. Like when they talk about guys and women having to go through their whole phase. If I didn't go through mine, I wouldn't be my wife right now because I'd be too busy thinking about cheating. Like, you know what I mean? I got that shit on my system early. Then realizing that this shit wasn't worth it, it was like, I want more than that. So it worked out now. I mean, look at your situation. You grew up with being friends with your now wife at church, and you're not a religious person.
I haven't been churchy for a long time, and that was my phase where I definitely wasn't churchy. So but we knew each other.
Yeah,
we definitely knew each other, and we ended up getting the same job in the same field. Yeah, and so we spent a lot of time with each other. And again, same thing. I just don't want you to think that I'm all out there with the Bible in my hand, like hey.
No. Yeah. But it's funny the way things work out. And I remember you posted something about can you be with someone who's religious when you're not? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then this quote I heard, and when someone goes, it's not possible because they go, where would a bird and a fish live if they fell in love?
Yeah, I think people need to freaking relax, bro. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But it's funny, someone asked that, and then it was a comic book I read. It was like, a fish and bird can love each other, but where would they build their house? And the guy responds, on the edge of a river. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's ways, like... If
a mansion, because we're coming up with ridiculous scenarios. The fish and bird that I know, they're billionaires.
The billionaires?
And they spend some time on the ocean.
They've created apparatus where they can both breathe in other places.
Yo, I posed that question because I was genuinely curious because, you hear a lot of people, I can't be with somebody that's not in tune with me spiritually. Like, I understand that, like, I really do. Yeah. But, like, we're different people. Like, no matter who you're with, they're going to be somebody different. They're going to be somebody that's not you. They might have some similarities and some things that are vastly different than what you expect, right? And I think that you can be cool, if you can be cool with anybody. Like, the other day, I had a really interesting conversation with an 80-year-old Trump supporter who smokes a lot of weed, right? And she says she loves black men. Wasn't referring to me, but we had like she was telling me everything about her life, and like she was engaging, and it was we had a really good conversation. But she voted for Trump, right? And that's something that that's crazy to me, right? But she was a beautiful lady, nonetheless, right? And I think that if somebody like me can have a good conversation with somebody like that, I feel like anybody could get into a relationship with anybody else as long as they're willing to see what's good in that person, right? And do the work, and relax. Like, damn, I feel like people, you know, they just let anything kind of like derail their happiness, and it's upsetting sometimes, you know.
I can't. Oh man, I cannot. You were. Oh god, you were saying so much right now.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you.
I apologize.
No. I mean that in a good way. Like you're saying, you're speaking so much like to like my thinking about people. I don't mean like you're speaking too much. Like you're speaking to my soul right now with people being like positive and like just like relaxing. The guy who does my tattoos, hardcore Republican.
Yeah.
And I love him. Like you know what I mean. Like he's. You ever meet someone you don't see very often, but you guys connect immediately?
Yeah.
I connected with him immediately, man. Like he was when I first went to Hawaii. He was like, "Yo, you're gonna love this trip. You gotta go." And like was talking to me like you know, there was this, it was that, and it made me want to go even more when I went the first time. Not even when I went with my wife the first time. He opened my eyes to like what it's like to be. Just I don't want to get into it because you know his stories are stories, but like opening my eyes to a different point of view. When he talks about why he's Republican, it makes sense for him. So it's not like, oh, I vote Republican because I'm Republican. Like he can look at the facts and explain to me why he thinks some things are right. Like he says some off the wall things that I think he says some things I think that are off the wall, but I'm like, oh, I don't agree with you. But you've actually done the research on this. Yeah. And I think that's dope. I don't give a crap if someone's Republican or not. And I'm pretty sure you don't either. But just like have the knowledge to just to have like an actual have reasoning behind it.
That's one again. I know it might seem like we're getting on a tangent, but this is just we're talking about relationships, right? And cultivating these relationships means communicating with people effectively. Yeah. Do you agree with your wife all the time? We don't, and the thing is, one of the lessons we learned early on was active listening. And again, this stuff sounds corny, but you know, I think it helps, right?
Absolutely.
What it was is you don't listen to somebody just to get your point across, right? Like you're just waiting. And again, everybody does this, right? Yeah. And I still do, even though I'm aware of it, right? If somebody's talking to you, you're actually engaging with them, right? You're listening to it. You might even just repeat what they say, or a sound of acknowledgement, or something, right?
I've seen people do that. It's hilarious.
But it helps. Like for some people that do that, like you say, you know, like say if your wife comes in, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever comes in, and they're having a rough day, right? And they go like, fuck the world. Fuck the world. What do you mean? Like you know, like you ask the question. You might not say it like that because you're upset. You want to be engaging.
You want to be engaging.
Yeah. But you want to listen, and I think that you find out so much about somebody by just really listening and communicating with them, right? And that goes for the person you're with. You know, like me and my wife, we were together and this is before we got married, we were together for, you know, a couple of years before I started to really get to know her, right? And I'm still finding out stuff now because we have conversations. Like we sit in the car and talk.
Yeah.
You know?
I was saying to my wife, like the music will be on now, but it's like now it's just background noise because we're actually having conversations about things. Like I love the fact that she like doesn't agree with a lot of the stuff I say because it's like if someone agrees with you all the time, you don't get anything out of it. Like you know what I mean? Like, and again, it'd be like to your point, it was like you know like finding out things about your wife makes the relationship fresher. It keeps things new. Like you know what I mean? Like if she's having a bad day, like even her having a bad day and you listening and being engaged is a new experience every time you're doing it because no day is the same.
And don't do it like as men. Like we have a tendency to want to like fix things, right? Like you know, like,
I think it's a genetic thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes women just want to yell because they're stressed out and they need somebody to freaking get that stress out, and you could just listen. That's easy to me. That's easy, right? You just listen.
You'd think so.
Yeah,
but
but whatever, right? So yeah, I guess that's one. Communicating, I guess, is one aspect. I think people they don't give as much value as it needs within relationships, or they think they're giving it value, but they're not really putting it into practice.
I don't think people want to put the work in, and I think that's one of the issues now. and not even just relationships, but just like anything in general. I think we live now in this generation of instant this and instant that, and everybody wants to be famous overnight. Everybody wants their views now, and that's not how relationships and marriages work. Like
mine don't. Say that.
No, they don't, man. Like relationships, marriages are work.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're hard, sometimes they're annoying, sometimes they're damn right miserable.
I posted a few days ago. I said marriage, shitty job, great coworker. Essentially. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's things that I do not want to do.
Yeah.
That my wife forces me to do that have made me a better person.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we went to Hawaii. Like, I went close to the edge of a cliff. I don't do heights well.
Yeah.
I went up there and I didn't get super close, but I got closer than I normally would.
Yeah.
I try foods every so often that I wouldn't normally try. I go places and I vacation and things that like I normally wouldn't do. She gives me perspectives on things that I would never think of.
I could literally sit on the couch all day, probably, right? And do nothing productive with my life, right? But I think a big part of me being in school, right? Me working as much as I do. I went to this Ebony Gala last night.
I'm so mad I didn't go to that.
It was actually pretty cool. People were dressed up pretty nice, but it's not really, I could do it or not, doesn't matter. But my wife was super excited about it, right?
So you're super excited
and I'm
about
super excited. Even if I wasn't super excited about it, like, the way she was talking about this thing, like, it got me excited.
Yeah, because you're receptive of her energy. And because of that, because you guys are so in tune, it takes us like, fuck, I want to do this. Yeah. And then you go. I've done it a million times. My wife will be like, we're going to go do this because it's something we have to do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, yo, I can't fucking stand this person. Yeah. I don't want to go. Yeah. And then I'll say 80% of the time, I leave having a great time.
Yeah.
Talk about how much fun I have. Even, you know what I mean? Like, even if I don't have 100%, even if I don't have a good time 100% of the time, I will say that I've gained something 100% of the time because I can look at her and say, I didn't have a good time because of this, or because of this, or because of that, and she'll listen. Yeah.
And I think it goes both ways. Like, my wife, motivated me to go to an awesome gala, right? Yeah. And a couple times, I might see my wife watching, like, Star Trek on Netflix, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, Yeah. And trust me, like, my wife isn't the type of person to, I think she used to watch it with her mother, but at the same time, like, she definitely takes on my interest, which I appreciate, and that helps.
I can't even. My wife said she'd divorce me if I went to go see Black Panther without her.
Oh, yo, I'm going with a group of black people to Black Panther, including my wife. Well, the plan is to all wear like African regalia, and
But again, adapting her adapting your personality because it makes you happy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like finding interest in things like that. Like, she didn't want to do the podcast, but now she said she would, but she gave me parameters for her to do this. Yeah. So she was like, if you want me to do this, I need you to do that. And I'm like, cool. Yeah. So I get right on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's super supportive of like my writing. She was like, if you want to write, you need a computer that you're gonna be able to use. Don't go into this half-ass. Yeah. So if I'm writing something, she was like, you know what I mean? She's making sure that I'm doing that.
And when you're married, like really married, and you have a supportive wife, like, a lot of us, we have ideas. Like, we want to. I've never met a guy without an idea, right? I don't know about you. That's just what it is. But for me, I can't just have an idea and say, yeah, I want to do this and just whatever. Like, I have somebody else who's depending on me getting shit done, right? So I think my plans, long term, but I plan them out. I educate myself. I get good, I get skills, and I use these skills, right? And I do that because it makes me feel better about myself. And then when I see that I impress my wife, and I see that in her eyes at times, like, that makes me feel great. To have somebody supporting you and actually, like, rooting for you and feeling good when you feel good. Like, it's unimaginable. Like, and, everything has its negatives, but you know what? Single life seems pretty terrifying as well. So.
Oh, dude. I could not imagine. I said to someone, when my wife comes to her senses and realizes she married down, straight up and down, I'm going back to just fucking. That's all I'm gonna do.
Really?
I cannot. I can't stand people. People are annoying. People are dumb. They make me want to slap them. I'm like.
But you fuck them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fuck that. I gotta.
I love you, old man.
Look, man, I am nothing if not consistent about my hypocrisies. That's what it is, man. But it's like I don't really like it. It would just seem like so difficult to try to like really put in that work all over again, man. Because like I said, I've said it a few times. It's work, man. Like I put in every effort I put into this relationship. I'm putting in because I love my wife, because my wife loves me. And then there's also the fact people say, "Oh, I love my wife," but do you like her? Do you like your husband? Like, you know what I mean?
That's key, man. I mean, that's key. That's key. Like you gotta like the person you're with.
Yeah. Love will only get you so far. You actually gotta enjoy. You have to actually enjoy being with this person.
Like I have a very low tolerance for spending any amount of time with anybody. And it's not that. Like, I'm not one of those people that hate. Like, you know, old man's my dude, but I think we're kind of like the devil and the angel, one on the left, one on the right. Like,
yeah,
you know, like I think people get old man upset for very good reasons, right? But for me, I'm kind of like, I don't really care, right? Like I used to be to a point where I didn't like people, but then I cared about what they thought, right? But then now, like, I don't care about what people think, but then I kind of like people, which is weird.
I like, what is it from Clerks? I hate people, but I like gatherings. Or like from Men in Black, he goes, the person is smart, people are dumb, irrational, and panicky. Yeah. Like I love hearing people talk. I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing like their perspectives. Yeah. But people in a hole are a-holes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I just like I don't even want to deal with it.
But it's not that. Like for me, I just can't. It just I have very specific interests. I have a lot of interests, but they're very specific. And if we're talking about something I'm not really interested in, I get bored very quickly. And it happens a lot. But then my wife, on the other hand, like I could literally chill with her like all the time, and it doesn't. And like we'd be in the house just chilling, watching TV, not saying anything, and just up under each other or not, right? For like hours and hours and hours, and it's just like this is awesome. Like this feels great.
Yeah. So
I like being around her.
Yeah, like me and my wife binge watch stuff and don't really speak until something happens. And, you know what I mean? Show's over, we go to the next one, and we've done that. And like we'll watch something and go, oh snap! Make a little comment and go back to business, man. Like we don't need to speak to each other every 2 seconds. We don't need to be under each other like all the fucking time. Like, you know what I mean? We still give each other our space, and I think there's a lot of keys to that. And obviously we're not experts in the ways of marriage, because I'm pretty sure later today I'll annoy the shit out of my wife. Yeah. And that's just, you know.
It's definitely gonna happen.
And one of my buddies said it best. One of the guys I work with, and he when I got married, because every guy thinks they're original when they go, oh, happy wife, happy life. Why? Well, it's true, and they go, oh, don't do it. Due to my job, Jeff, one of the greatest guys I ever met, he said to me, don't listen to that. He goes, marriage is going to be tough, but it's worth it. He goes, me and my wife argue. I go to the living room. She goes one direction. An hour later, we're both like, what are we doing for dinner?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, because sometimes a lot of this shit doesn't even really matter, man, because it's just...
And I think it's frustration. Like, everybody gets frustrated, and I think a lot of arguments, and even good marriages, just come out of, like, frustration from external things, internal things, and they come out. And then you gotta realize, like, you know, this person was upset, but this person still loves me, right? And that's why you can say, like, all right, fuck you, well, fuck you. I love you, let's eat.
Yeah.
Like...
Like, and it's like, and again, like another thing I think is one of the other things I think is I really believe in my heart of hearts that the person you're with it should make you a better person.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you, 100%. Man. You can't be with somebody that's keeping you stagnant.
Yeah, like you don't like again, like yeah. You said stagnant. I was gonna say something which means what the definition of stagnant was. I'm like, what's the point of saying it again? Yeah. But like you know, if I joked with my wife one day. I said, hey, can I become a rapper? She goes, absolutely not. I was joking, but she wasn't even. She was like, "I'm not even entertaining this as a joke."
She's letting you podcast, which is pretty impressive.
Yes, I can talk. Like I'm more interested in listening to people, but like this is what I do.
You know, and you're not half stepping too. And I think don't disappoint. Try not to guys and girls, man. I think the key is not disappointing the person you're with, or trying not to.
I think it's trying not to. I think as long as you're putting like your best foot forward, like yeah, exactly.
And when you do that, and again, like when you do that, when you're always putting your best foot forward or trying to at least, and they see that effort, the person you're with will give you a lot of leeway. You know, they will support. They'll trust in your decision. So if you have this idea to like, you know, start a business, they're not gonna. There's two things. There's two ways they can look at that. They can be like, oh, this nigga's trying to start a business. Oh my god! Like, all right, you're not getting none of my money. You ain't borrowing no money from your mom either, right?
But if you come at it with a legitimate like plan of action,
and you put into work, and you have your own money, you did your Uber, you know what I mean, part times, did your thing, or you know you've done things before, or you know you made a bomb ass meal. Something, I don't know.
Yeah,
do something.
like you just do random things like that.
You know,
I'm gonna stop this now because I just got a great idea for another podcast for the No Trick Zone. But yeah, we are one thing. Thank my co-host Supa Javi for coming in, doing this again.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. You know what I want to hear.
Damn it! What?